So here we are once again. So I thought we'd discuss today the type of dad we aspire to be, what we aim to be. I think we don't want to come across on this podcast that we're like experts and that because we own a business and that we try and keep fit and that we've got it all figured out, because I think that's very far from the truth. We just want to open up these ideas, but kind of talk about what kind of dad we want to be. Like we said, we're very goal orientated and we're kind of designing as minds maybe what we want to be a lot of time and kind of try and manifest it or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I just thought it'd be good to kind of discuss what type of dad and what his values are around being a dad, because maybe it's not something that people think about really. Think about survival, which is sometimes where I find myself. But yeah, what do you think about that? What kind of dad do you want to be? What springs to mind?
Yeah, it's something I've thought about a lot. I think you just said there that you might not think about it, but I know for a fact you do, because it's the same way you do anything. We look ahead with our businesses and set goals, we look ahead with our health and set goals, and it's no different with being a dad. I mean, I must admit, I'm not looking too far ahead because I'm still grasping what's actually going on in front of me. And I suppose that's a different topic, but I'm enjoying, I'm finding it easier than ever to be in the present with being a dad. But yeah, it's something I've thought about a lot. I think there's loads of lessons from my own childhood and seeing other people, and yeah, it's something I've thought about a lot. But like specifically, what if I just fire a direct question at you?
Go on, turn it back on me.
Because obviously it's a huge topic. So if we go specific, like obviously you've got twins. Do you want your children to get into sport early?
That's a good question. I didn't think you were going to ask that question. But yeah, I think I want them to experience different things. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be sport, but I love the idea of them like I were. I remember my childhood just being amazing. Like our cricket, football, athletics. I had something on every night, and you've got to have parents that are willing to take you to all these clubs and put you in, do things. And I think that's what I 100% want from mine. But I know that from people who've got two kids, it's hard. So you've got one going to gymnastics, one going to football. It's tough, but I'd love them to open up the idea of them being able to do anything and whatever hobbies that might be, and just give them new experiences. I know we've spoken about this before about the football thing. I'm saying, would you push your son into football, and would you push your daughter into dancing or whatever? And I wouldn't actually do that. I think it's just whatever naturally they take an interest in. Now, will I buy him a football when he's 3? Yeah. But if he shows no interest, that's not a problem. But I would like him to get involved in sport or hobbies or whatever it might be, because I just think it sets you up in a really good way as an all-round person. I learned so much through sport. I learned so much from being part of a team. I learned so much from losing. There's loads of lessons in sport that you don't maybe get in regular school. So I think I would love them to get involved in sport. What about you?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people would say yes, wouldn't they? But I think a lot of people, they would have things in mind for them. I don't really want that.
Yeah.
But to contradict myself, I do want my children or child I would like them to try martial art. Obviously it's something I'm passionate about, but I just think what I'm interested in is not necessarily the hobby or the sport, but the skills I want them to acquire. And I just think discipline, and obviously they're the generic ones that people think of discipline, but it's really good for stopping people being so shy, because it's so full on and you have to have body contact with other people. Football's good for that as well, etc. And keeps you humble. And it's nice, obviously, when you can defend yourself, because when you can defend yourself, you can handle things with a conversation. Sometimes when you can't defend yourself, you have to actually fight to be able to have a conversation. Do you know what I mean? It's when you're a kid. But definitely, like I said, I'm more interested, rather than a sport or hobbies. It's all the things that come with that, becoming a student of something, not being good and still going on and not giving up, and failing, losing, winning, being a good loser, being a good winner, all these kind of things. Like you mentioned, teamwork. I suppose it depends what's cool at the time, because they're always going to follow what's cool. As far as football, I think I'd like to play football, but the thing is with football, because it's so big and there's so many connotations that come with it, there's almost more negative connotations than positive. So let's say if you're one of your children got into martial arts, there's almost no pre-written rules on how people should act around it. Whereas with football, people can't help but shout at the referees because it's so ingrained in the sport. So I would never say I don't want my children to get into rugby because of parents mouthing off on the sideline, because there isn't that culture, but there is in football. So I almost want them to be around that. And also as well with football, somehow, whether you want to or not, you end up on this path where you try to become a professional footballer.
Yeah. What is that?
Nobody seems to be able to do it for fun.
No.
So like, let's say you started martial arts now, no one will go, oh, when you turning pro. But if you play football as a kid, it seems to be that everyone's goal should be a professional footballer, and 99% of those people are going to fail. Every
parent you speak to, their kid, I'm telling you, he's got something. He's
going
to be somebody. He's going to make it, and reality is probably not. Going back to that, I don't want to be that dad on the sidelines shouting and embarrassing myself.
Well, a lot of it comes down to
that before.
This is, don't living for your child. I don't think I'll need to do that because, as we've said, and one of our big passions is always, no matter what stage of life you're at, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, always be learning, always be a student, always setting goals, always attacking things with no fear of failure. And I think that's why that happens with parents a lot, because they've actually stopped setting their own goals. They're not doing any sports, they've not got any hobbies. They actually then fulfill that through the children.
Kids,
I think if you were doing your own things, you would just learn to enjoy what they're doing for what it is, rather than almost making it part of your, do you know what I mean, your purpose, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think when you've got your own purpose, not to attack anybody, but do you know what I mean, you're satisfied, you've got your own reason to get up in the morning, and that's just for them rather than for you.
Yeah, that's good. And going back to kind of what kind of dad you want to be, what kind of example do you think you want to set for your kids as well? I think that's a big one. We've spoke about this.
I think everything we already mentioned in this podcast. I think trying to live by my values, trying to do things for the right reasons, building businesses that allow me to live in the way that I want to live. So I don't need loads of money. I'm not materialistic, but I want enough. I'm not trying to pretend that I'm making the bare minimum. I want to make plenty of money and do well, but I just want to be able to live in a way where I can control my own environment, control the people I'm around, and do things that I want to do and not be restricted by money. So if I were to have 6 kids, I want to be able to have 6 kids, but not go, actually, I'll only have 1 because I just can't afford to have 6. I'd like to not have restrictions put on me by money. So I want to live in a way where I can totally live the life I want to live it. Luckily, I don't have a habit for fast cars or anything, so I've got a good chance of doing it.
Right.
What about you?
I think one of mine is I want to be able to pick my kids up from school.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm working towards now. Like with my businesses, with how I spend my time now, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to, like, it's already in place, to be fair. Like, Lucy's going to do 3 days at work. One of them days is going to be a full day with me. They're going to do 2 days in nursery and a full day with me. So I'll be setting up my business, and that'll be non-negotiable. Like we've talked about what send new business ideas, but can't be like, no, can't do that because
you got those boundaries.
This is the boundary.
That's a good topic,
full
actually.
Day with my kids.
That's something I discussed. So I'm in a very similar position where I'm definitely going to be doing the school run most days. Or at least I want the option to. Yeah. Maybe I'll dodge it. But,
you may
but it's nice to have the option to. But I've also gone through this discussion at the moment whether I want to have my own full day. And this goes back to the generation before, where it's been a little bit like, we've had these conversations before. We've always brought up in a culture where you get old enough and then you drink, and that's the way we do things. And we've been taught that a lot with fatherhood as well. Oh, the men don't need their own day. And I think we were taught that that's just the way it was and they don't need to, but I think a lot of it really come out of fear because it's bloody hard now, I've realised.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
So you've decided then to take that challenge on, because that's a big challenge.
Yeah, it definitely is, but... Yeah,
but you want to do it?
Yeah, I want to do it. And I recognise I've got to go to work. I can't be... let's not pretend that we're in a position where we can, Lucy can totally not work and stuff like that. She wants to work, which is up to her. she wants to stay in work and stuff like that, and she wants to do things. So she's going to work 3 days. I don't want to just drop them off at nursery every day. Well, I think it'll make me more proactive, and that I can condense that work down into 2 days, knowing that I've got this day with twins where I don't want it to be a day where, right, you go play in the living room, I'm going to sit on my laptop.
Yeah, you're
that's
off.
again a bad example. I'm off that day. I'm off.
Things,
and that'll make me.
But you know what? That comes down to again. As far as you doing the day on your own, I suppose that comes back to your values, what you've discussed already. Being willing to try things new. Try things out that are new. And obviously, when you're doing that, because being in the same position, I've been in that position where I'm thinking, do I want to do this day on my own? Because I'm fully aware of how big a challenge that's going to be. But it comes back to being willing to try and take it on and therefore develop new skills, because you right now are going to struggle, as I am. Yeah. But we're going to get better, we're going to know how to manage 2 at once on our own, or in my case 1, thankfully. So, and start to know how to run a day without your partner being there and having that safety net, because let's be honest, there's a bit of a safety net at the moment. There's 2 of you, isn't there?
God, yeah,
talking
definitely.
to me and you,
Yeah, I think actually when you talk about it like that, I've not actually thought about it practically.
You've said it now, so it's too late to pull out.
Yeah, we have to edit that bit. No, but I think it does. I just want to get it going. Yeah. What's the worst that could happen, as they say. But yeah. I think it is one of them things where I feel like I've worked hard enough, and that's like a little bit of a reward. Yeah. And to have that day with you, something a little bit different.
Well, obviously you've been in the fitness industry a long time, so you've got a lot of experience in that business. You're doing that for a long time. As much as it's a priority, it's not one of our major skills at the minute, being a dad, obviously, because we're new to it. So the best way to get good at it is to start doing the sets and reps like anything else, and that's gonna help a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So now you've said it makes me think actually I've not said no to it, we're still figuring it out, but it makes me think that I'll probably do a day on my own as well. Yeah. Because that's what we've built businesses for, where we can have the flexibility to have the luxury to have a day at home on our own with the kids. So what about the nursery topic? Like, do you want them, because obviously there's the money of nursery, but there's the socialising of nursery. Yeah. Are you going to do that, do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely, like we said, we're thinking 2 days nursery. Like, we're in a position, just to put a bit of context to it, where we've got no one who can actually have the twins for a day. Like Lucy's family down in Birmingham, I ain't got any family who can look after them, basically. And you've got to remember it's 2 as well. So if it might be a little bit easy, if it were 1, there might be someone who could do it. But even if we were down in Birmingham with Lucy, it'd be a lot for a mum and dad who are both retired to have 2 as well. So it is a different problem. But I think nursery would be brilliant. I mean, they're going to grow up with each other, so they're going to have some sort of skills, I suppose, or get used to sharing, hopefully. And I know that's a big thing that white people like kids to go to nursery, because they get to know the children and act around other kids and very much share and things like that, and learn them basic skills that you need. But I think it's nursery, definitely. But it is something I'm quite nervous about, giving your kids to someone else to look after. It's quite worrying.
Again, another area where I can't say no one's mentioned it. It's not been a secret, but it's just gone over my head. Whenever anyone's ever mentioned, it's challenging putting your kids in nurse. You're just like, move on. United played at the weekend. Do you know what I mean?
Whereas now, things going on right now.
When you're in it, it is a big topic suddenly, isn't it? So it is. Yeah, I think again, I'm at the stage a few months behind you where we're still trying to figure out our plan and trying to find and being willing to get it wrong first time and adapt it as well is key, isn't it? Yeah. So if you move on to another slightly different topic, what obviously this is way down the line, but in an ideal world, what kind of a path, work, education wise, would you prefer for your children if you were to?
Yeah, that is.
Have you got any opinions on it?
I discussed this at weekend with some friends who have also got a young baby, talking about kind of the university path and stuff like that. And obviously it was something I did, and I was the first person from either side of my family to actually complete university. But looking at it, I was really pushed down that route, and I don't think I'd push my kids down that route. Like, that's why I think I want to teach them business skills as well. I want to teach them business skills. I want them to be creative, be innovative, because that side of me was probably suppressed when I was a kid a little bit. Not because of anything anyone was purposely doing, but I just weren't. That side of me never came out really.
Was you good in school?
Yeah, really good in school, but I was good at working, as in like learning things. It was just like, right, you need to put the hours in to learn a topic, for example, like exams. I was brilliant at exams, so I'd happily put the revision in. I'd do the work because I could see that was the outcome. But I wouldn't say I was very smart. I was just really good at learning things. I tried harder than most people. I genuinely tried harder than most people. Like, my brother were a lot more. He's a lot cleverer than me, like maths and science and stuff like that. But we got similar sort of results. I just worked harder. I put the work into revision. Like, I really worked hard in school and college. And I'd push my kids to work hard at school. I think working hard towards something's important, and that's a discussion I did have at weekend with people, because obviously A-level results and all that, and a lot of people have that argument that you don't need them to be successful, but you do need them to learn basic values, I think, which is hard work, and you get what you deserve with your exams. Yeah, it's not up for debate really.
It all depends on context, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because there is definitely an answer where you don't need them's right, and there's an answer where you need them's right. It all depends. If your attitude to everything is I don't need it, you're not going to end up anywhere, are you?
No.
I mean, I did well in primary school, you know, when you kind of before you have any distractions, and then in high school I was so bored, and I just spent most of my time just doing what I did in my early work career and just passing the time. Just faffed about. I was quite intelligent, but I just faffed, so I didn't really get any results at all. But looking back, what I would say is I could have definitely done with. I was doing sport outside, so when I was young, I was doing my grappling still. But I think, because the way I worked, again, I agree with the whole suppressing creativity. I didn't realise I was creative until I started running a business, which is creativity in itself, isn't it? I think if I could help my children to figure out their skill sets, and if they don't have many, develop them, because it's up for debate whether we have them or we develop them anyway, isn't it? But by the end of school, uni, or at least early 20s, figure out what they're good at and what they enjoy. Therefore, that will help them to figure out what they want to do. Because when I look back, what is there about schooling that helps you to decide what you want to do? We have loads of people that talk about they don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
But how are you supposed to know what you want to do?
Yeah, by doing maths, science, English. Yeah. How's that supposed to direct you on
that path is the only way that is your path is if you are going to go into something like that. Yeah. And obviously, maths is relevant to everything, but if you actually want to be really, really good at maths and carry that journey on, you're going to either become something that's similar to a mathematician, a lecturer, or someone that's going to pass the education on to somebody else. Yeah. But again, with being a business owner, you only need so much maths, don't you? Really, you need mental arithmetic, which I was really good at. Yeah. I wasn't good at all the other sort of maths that you don't actually need, apart from if you're going to carry on. You need a well-rounded skill set to be a business owner. So what I would do to answer the question in a roundabout way is I would give as much as I can as far as extracurricular activities, educating them at home, because I definitely want to teach them about money and things that I think kids should learn anyway that they don't, and then hopefully give them the power to figure out themselves what they want.
I think that's important. Let them figure out, guide them in the right way. If they're not good in a natural school setting, accept that, instead of being one of them parents who makes you sit down and do RE and makes you sit down and do all the work. Push them in the direction where they are good. You know, if they, I don't know, you don't know what the world's going to look like in 10 years. If they're really creative and they're good on metaverse or these, I don't know what's coming next. Push them in that direction.
That's a great example,
because push them in that direction.
And metaverse now was probably computers in our generation.
Exactly. Just get off your computers.
Get off your computers and all that. And now, before it flipped quickly when people knew money was going into computers. I'm talking really early days, like Windows 95. before you knew it, all parents were like, get good on your computers. And if you can be open-minded enough to recognise what's coming next, rather than being fearful of it, you can help your children out. Like, I'm sure we've skipped this, but we were computers, now it's probably going to be metaverse, but kids right now, it's the battle that's happening is gaming, isn't it?
Gaming
and
content creation. And
do people discourage gaming? Because you can genuinely monetize it now, or YouTubing and all that stuff.
YouTube, why are kids sitting down watching YouTube for 8 hours?
Or creating as well. Yeah, that's what you said, didn't you? Content creators.
Content creation.
Yeah, that's a legitimate job. But again, it's like the new footballer, isn't it? For every footballer, there's thousands of failed ones. So for me, it's about me being open-minded enough to help guide them to figure out what they want to do. Because the prize for me, as far as being happy in your work and your life, is being able to build the life you want. If you've too many times when I was younger, I was trying to follow other people's goals and lives.
Correct.
Until finally I stumbled on running a business, and now I feel like I'm genuinely doing what I want to do. Well, that's how people get down the wrong path as far as feeling unfulfilled, therefore depressed or unhappy, or all these different things. I think it's a lot of the time people are putting square pegs in round holes. And
definitely.
that's pretty much what it comes down to for me, as far as not wanting them to do that, trying to channel the energy in the right direction.
Definitely. That's a good point. And like I spoke about, I were always kind of pushed down the route of being a teacher. I don't know why. I loved PE. My PE teacher was my hero, sort of like be like him. Do you know what I mean? But actually, I wanted to play rounders all day. But did I actually want to do marking? Did I want to go to team meetings? No, because that was the bit when I did become a teacher that I could not stand. Like team meeting Friday, 4 o'clock. Oh my God, I'll do anything to get out of it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do these meetings. I want to help the kids. I want to be creative with my sessions and my lectures and bring some new ideas in. Not just regurgitate the same stuff for 20 years. And I think that's a big thing. And like you say, being energized by what you do day to day, because the stats are all there. You'd spend certain percentage of, I don't know, I'm not going to pull a number, I think it might be 60-70% of your life working. You've got to be something you enjoy, in my opinion, something that fills you with passion, like what we do, and hopefully we can pass that on to us kids, and they can have best experience with their adult life as possible.
And I think, because obviously we're going into the topic of finding your passion a little bit, I think one thing where people go wrong with finding the passion is, ultimately, I don't think, well, not in all cases, you can necessarily just find it and then monetize it and crack on. It's more likely you're going to have to go through a period of doing the hard yards and grafting at something before you start to enjoy it. Because it's human nature to actually enjoy stuff you're good at. But how are you supposed to be good at it without doing the hard yards? Even if you go, I know we're talking about football a lot, but I guarantee we all pretty much couldn't be arsed with football until we actually started to manage to bang it in the top corner. Those first stages where you're off balance and you can barely kick it. I can't remember that because I was young, but we all know kids that maybe only got into football late and you're like, they can't even kick it. They're not enjoying it. They feel daft.
They feel daft.
So I think, and it goes back to being a kid again. If you can get good at stuff or as many different skills while being young, while you're not scared of the fear of failure, that's an asset. But an even bigger asset is being willing to still develop skills as an adult while facing the fear of failure. So building a personality where you have the resilience to take things on and not be willing to fail is probably one of the most important things you can instill in your children, isn't it?
And I think resilience is a big word there. You just mentioned it, that this generation that's coming through now almost get pigeonholed as not having resilience, and being almost a little bit too soft in a lot of ways, and I think there'll be a big shift in things, and who knows what it's going to be like. But I think from a parent's point of view, you need to stay in touch with what's relevant at that time and what is, I hate the old saying, back in my day. I don't want to be that parent who's like, well, back in my day you could say things like that, and back in my day you've got to be in touch with it, but also stick to your values. It's tough trying to find that balance with that. And I think that's going to be really important because the world moves so fast, you know, that we're going to have to keep in touch with issues that they go through and what their life's like, and not compare it to ours too much. I think too many parents have done that before. You know, oh God, go and get outside. In my day, I used to play out till 9 o'clock at night when street lights came on and stuff like that. And kids just don't do that anymore. But it doesn't mean that they should. You know, is it a more safer place or is it not? You know, who knows? But it's very different, like generation to generation, and we've got to remember that when our kids are growing up. I think
history repeats itself, doesn't it? Apparently, I don't think I'm old enough to maybe say it for a fact, but I think we all go through those cycles where we think we know best, and then ultimately what happens is we end up losing touch. Let's say music, for an example. I'm already losing touch with modern music.
Yeah.
But just because I don't really understand modern music doesn't mean that it's crap, like I probably would say as a lad.
Yeah.
That's what we often do. We fear something and we don't understand it, so it's now crap, and I'm just focusing on what I know.
Our generation was better.
Yeah,
like
so
we look at football and go, early 2000s, what best by miles.
I'm already saying that. It's
what I mean?
probably, that's how I feel, but I'm guarantee it's not fact. The quality of football's better, but that comes back to what you said at the beginning about what kind of dad you want to be. And I think a really good thing that we could be better than the generation before, is staying in touch with the generation below.
Yeah.
And not being too pig-headed to just say, I know my stuff, it's all right, and I'm going to crack on with this.
Yeah, this is how you be a man.
Being a bit. Well, if that had happened a bit less, we wouldn't be in the state we're in now, where we have a lot of people who are unsure what they want in life.
Yeah.
I think if people could be a bit more open-minded about different faiths, beliefs, it would be a better place, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that's a really good skill to have, to be a father that maybe eventually does naturally start to lose touch with things a bit, to make the effort to understand the way things are working and the mindset of the younger generation.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to our childhood period, were there any things that kind of shaped the person you are, or probably like the dad you want to be? Tough one.
It's a tough one. I think like we've just touched on, playing out was obviously a big part of that. You're meeting people, you're making friendships, you're bonding over playing, I suppose, playing football, playing sports. It's definitely something that I'd like my children to do as well.
It's a lot more structured nowadays, don't it? Like,
yeah, I don't have a problem with that though. I like the whole idea of get out there and play. I think that our generation as parents can be the generation that don't chuck the kids out to play. They can almost be leading the way. So, for example, rather than saying go out and play in the street, take them to the Peak District and go on a walk or a hike.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, I think they go out, like I'm not slagging it off because I probably agree with it, but the idea of go out and play is leave me alone. I'm going to crack on with doing what I'm doing.
Kind of
I would rather go out and play with them.
Oh, right, okay.
Not literally go and play in the street doing hopscotch, but I mean...
So you get yourself a name.
yeah. But go and, do you know what I mean? Lead activities, go and take them on days out and things like that. Maybe something that I didn't get to do as much as a kid. I was left to play out, which is great. But looking back, I would love to have maybe been taken more days and expand my horizons a little bit more.
Yeah.
I had other members of the family that did that, took me on days out. And looking back, that was awesome because I've been to loads of places. Whereas it would have been very easy for me to not really been outside of my area as a kid, apart from holidays. Yeah. So I think that's something I'd like to do a lot more. Like every maybe Saturday, pick somewhere on the map
to go.
and crack on.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good point.
And try new things as well. Like take them to do things you've done that are fun. Like I said, grappling or paddleboarding, whatever. But also maybe try things together for the first time as well.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't need to. I think, like I said, I've touched on it a few times, but it's this thing where only kids can try new stuff and look silly. All right, kids, you're gonna go and do bloody kayaking today. It's like, well, what about you?
Yeah.
You've never done kayaking.
Yeah, why don't you?
Why don't you go and do it? Or why don't you go and do it first and then bring them next time?
Yeah.
So that's definitely the mentality I want to have. Trying new things for the first time, rather than this idea of I'm a dad now, they're living, and I'm kind of existing for them.
Yeah.
I think both can coexist. You being your own person and also being a dad, it's different identities, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
What about you?
Going back to the...
Yeah, going back to the what shaped you and what influence will that have and things for you now?
Yeah, I think we've touched on this before when we've spoke, is that like our dad's role was to provide and work hard, and I've definitely got my work ethic from seeing my dad work so hard, and he still works so hard right now, and he's very proud to work really hard, and I want to instill that in my kids, that I just genuinely don't think work rate can be replaced. I think it's just the bare minimum. Like, you've got to work hard, otherwise you'll not get to where you want to be. But at the same time, I think, and this is obviously not a thing against how I were brought up, but I would like to, probably be at home a little bit more, and that's obviously what I'm trying to do with my businesses now, is so that I can be at home more often. But yeah, going back to kind of childhood again, I think just like you, I played out on the street from 4 o'clock till 8, depending on how old I were, 8, 9, 10 o'clock every night. I was never home. Never played on computer really, never played on Xbox, never played on PlayStations and stuff like that really. It was just all about being out and learning and being around older people as well a lot of the time, and that kind of made you a bit more streetwise, and you knew things before you probably should. And I remember coming home a few times and saying words that I didn't really know what they meant, but I was saying them in the house, and then I'd get in trouble for it big time, and that were a big learning curve. But I don't think the world will be like that when our kids get that old. It's very much now that I feel parents are trying to drag the kids off devices and get them to do things outdoor. Like you said, a number of my clients were like, "Oh, I try and take my kids out for a walk," and they just don't want to do it. They just want to they're walking, but they're on the phones and they're not even looking around them. And I try and get off their iPad, and I ban their iPads. And like we talked about, I think we've got to find a balance with that. And I think I think we're going to have a big issue with that, and how to manage that's going to be strange. And you can draw on your own childhood, but I don't want to be that, like I've just said, I don't want to be that parent who's like, well, I were out playing all day, why don't you go outside and play? Because if we had a choice them days to watch videos on wrestlers, which I was mad about, or whatever, if you could just sit there and watch that all day, you probably would. But you could only watch it when it was live. Do you know what I mean? So it's a big difference. But yeah, I want to be present. I want to show them what hard work is, but I also want to be present. And again, that's two sides of the opposite coin, isn't it, really?
Well, just to take it from what you just said then, what age would you be comfortable with one of your children having a job from? Not a full-time job, obviously, but a little something like a paper. Like, for example, I had a paper round from 12.
Did you?
And to go back a little bit to what you said, that definitely shaped me.
Yeah.
Like, it gave me loads of work. Like, whether you're 12 or you're 42, it's hard getting up at 6 a.m.
Yeah, definitely.
So I was getting up at 6 a.m. every morning and doing a paper round. Probably took me 40 minutes. Coming back, having a shower, and then going to school. But the difference in me doing that, and jokes mad, I was getting $2.50 around. So I was literally getting up at 6. I wouldn't get up, like, obviously, if I didn't have a reason to get up for it and I could have a line, you couldn't pay me £2.50 just to wake up and turn my alarm off.
Yeah.
I was getting up, doing a full paper round, whatever, and then go to school. But imagine that, as far as, obviously at the time it's for the money, but the resilience and the work ethic that built in me early on.
It's a great message.
Yeah. Obviously at the end of the week I was getting £17.50 doing that 6 days a week.
Yeah.
I think it was 15 quid because I did 6 days rather than 7. But if you think about what that developed in me, it's really good. But then at the same time, would you rather your kids have the sleep? I don't know. What do you think about that?
This is a funny thing that I'll think about over day, is when you talked about nursery and things like that, and that thought of leaving them on their own. Like right now, the thought of, say, Oliver going out or Sophia going out on the bike at 12 years old and delivering papers, that freaks me out.
Same thing, isn't it? Because you know that pulling them away from you, putting them in nursery is good for them.
Yeah.
In the long term, but right now in this moment, it's not.
I can't imagine me at 12 years old letting my kids do that, and that's probably being overprotective, or maybe because we think the world's such a bad place now when it's not probably no different to what it were when we were kids.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. You just think, oh no, I couldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be the parent who spoils the kids, but at the same time, I don't want to put them at risk, if that makes sense. Like, I'd rather earn money through doing things maybe at home, maybe cleaning garden, maybe helping out with chores around the house, things like that, and giving them kind of a monetary reward. Because, like I said, the lesson around money is a big one, and that's one that I probably never had.
That though, for me, to earn that 250, I didn't look at it as 250. I don't think I'd even done it then, but I looked at it 15 quid a week. I just knew that money don't come easy.
Yeah.
Well, not that I'm trying to have this scarcity mindset or whatever. I just mean you got to work for your money and earn it, and you're not entitled to anything. You're not going to be given anything. Whereas the chores idea, I'd be up for that, but I know that could easily evolve into, okay, you've just wiped the floor, here's £5. Suddenly that's like money comes easy and you can kind of waggle your way through it. So it's finding that balance, because obviously you want to protect your kids, but then you also want to teach them lessons. Generally, to teach them lessons, you have to put them through something that's not in the moment, not nice, because you don't have to be like brutal with them, but something that maybe they'd rather not be doing.
I don't think we'll get that chance, because we're talking to one of my clients, and his two sons. He's got twins. I think they're about 8 or 9, and they've started a YouTube channel just talking about toys. Right. And they're already getting loads of views, and he's like, their goal at 9 years old is to get paid for ads and paid for subscribers and views and stuff like that. It's like, wow, imagine having that mindset at 9.
Yeah.
Whereas like you're thinking right, I'm getting 15 quid from delivering papers. They're thinking their probably goal is, because they've seen people at 15 be YouTubers that own millions. Yeah. You're thinking, I'll get 15 quid because I can buy some sweets. Yeah. They're thinking, I'll earn 15 million so I can buy an house with a pool. Yeah. It's different, because the world is not, like you talked about, like all I knew up until being 12, 13, 14 was probably my house and 5 miles around it, and then like wherever we went on holiday. They already know Dubai, America, they're seeing the world. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's a good point though about the YouTube videos, because that the generation above, that'd be really easy for them to dismiss that and say bloody stupid that making videos and like get out there.
What you're doing,
Like there's many generations as well, and we've been there with different topics where they only respect work where you're using your hands. Yeah. Like, what are you doing there on the computer making money? Like, get out there and get a proper job. Yeah. There's loads of these examples, and for me, I would look at that and go, look at the skills they're building, making it, like, because it's not just sitting. It's not easy, whether you respect it or not. Anyone that builds a YouTube channel, it's hard work. It's hard work. I couldn't just set up a YouTube channel and make it big. So they've got to have consistency. They've got to have discipline, to keep doing it. Yeah. The creativity to make interesting topics, marketing, all these kind of things.
Also going to get negative feedback.
Yeah, so build some resilience that way as well. But it's just as skillful as something else. But sometimes people have this, like what you say about being a teacher, they put teacher up here and like something else that we might respect down here. And there's different skills and everything, aren't there? One thing I do like actually that I've heard, Peter Jones, the Dragon, he has. Because obviously he's a multi-millionaire, his kids won't need the money, blah, 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 but he wants to encourage them to still obviously get good jobs and not just get a crap job that he can top up and things like that. He said that he won't give them any money. I'm sure he gives them money, but like proper money. You go out there and do it yourself. But if you get a job in the public services industry, which is genuinely for me, like a teacher or NHS, really valuable jobs to the community, and almost they're not paid as well as they should be, but they're paid alright, but not as well they should be. But you get loads of self-worth and integrity, and just do you know what I mean? It's a great job just a great thing to do. He said he'll top the wage up of that to like a higher wage. So let's say if one of his children becomes a doctor and it's say 20 grand a year at the beginning stages, he'll make that. I'm just making it up now, but 50 grand a year. So that's where he will get involved. So I quite like that. Yeah. Obviously, he's a multimillionaire, so he can easily top things up, but he's willing to top up really things that he values. But because the thing is now with teachers and doctors, they're really valuable jobs, and there's a lot of integrity and self-worth, but they're not always the best thing to go down as far as making money, because you can be a doctor and a nurse or a teacher and be struggling for money, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's about sometimes do you go down the route where you're making more money, you have more security, or do you go down the route that gives you more fulfillment outside of money?
Yeah. On this topic, I've just thought of something as well. Obviously, at the minute, for us both, business work is quite difficult. Like, I feel like there's things that are not getting done because we're so busy with kids, which is understandable. When the kids obviously grow up and they get to 5 and 6 and go to school, etc., I'm already preparing myself for like a second coming of me as a business owner, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I kind of think, right, just keep going, keep working, keep giving everything. You're going to learn some valuable lessons in the next 5 years. And a lot of people say to me, don't lose them 5 years. Because a lot of people, if you listen to podcasts and you listen to successful people, so what's your one regret? Like Gary Neville on that podcast the other week, I ain't spent enough time with my family. Listen to every successful person, like the trade-off, like we spoke about previously, is that they don't spend time with the kids. So I'm thinking, right, if I can get this balance just about right for 5 years and keep my business successful, keep enjoying it, keep working with purpose, keep learning, keep getting better, but spend as much time with kids as possible. And there's going to be a time in 5 years' time when I'm close to 40, which is still nothing. And I've got all these experiences and I've still got businesses and I've got more 5-year experience. I've only been running businesses 6 years now.
Yeah.
Doubled the time, and who knows, that could be my second coming.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I really want to still work hard as a business person. I've got loads of goals and I want to do it for many reasons. Myself, my family, I want to have job security. I want to have enough money to live the life that I want to live and the freedom. And even now, I'm really appreciating what I've worked for so far, because obviously we can have more time at home and have the privilege of seeing these early moments. One thing I will say that's worth taking into consideration is if you're going to lean one way too much, you're best leaning towards your family too much. Obviously, that's a good thing to say, but what I mean is health can be, you can look at the data. So if you started to neglect your health a bit, the scales or the numbers on the bar will tell you that, so you can go, right, I need to adjust it. If you start to neglect your business a bit, the numbers will tell you as well. What there's no data or numbers on is your family time. You only recognise that too late. So you're better, if anything, slightly doing a bit too much family, because then the numbers will start triggering. Like alarms will start going off. Right, time to. We've already been there actually. Probably need to get back in my business a bit more, and your health. Bloody hell, I can't. That time's a bit drastically lower. A bit higher than that run this week. I need to just pull my finger out a bit. But you won't get those warning alarms with the family stuff. So if anything, you want to slightly, I think, lean that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I think that's definitely. Yeah, such a good point. That's really good. Good little
podcast
metric.
There.
That's such a good.
Obviously, again, back to I don't want to become the guy that does loads of family time to the point where I become unhappy in other areas, but they're measurable, aren't they?
Yeah.
And let's say you're smashing your family time and your business is doing fine. Keep going unless you want to do even more. But them two will let you know. The family time, they'll let you know in 10 years when they go, do you remember 10 years ago and you weren't there? And it's too late.
Yeah. Like I said, all them people, it just seems apparent that everyone who's got really successful has come back and said they didn't spend enough time with the family and they didn't do enough. And it is the hardest thing to do. Like I still find myself drifting. I'll be like, right, finish work now, got a few hours just before we get ready for bath, and it's like, next thing I know, an email comes through and a message comes through and you're dealing with something at work and you're like, oh God, I forgot that. And you find yourself getting dragged back into it, and it is so tough. And I think that's the thing with business, and a lot of people might go to work and that's work finished. We're business, we're never really done. Like we spoke about, you can get them emails at 9 o'clock, just as you look at your phone, you're like, oh no, I'll not look at it.
Yeah.
It just itches away at you.
Yeah.
Right, I'll just look. And then before you know it, you're thinking about replying. Yeah. Before you know it, you're thinking, no, don't reply, do it in the morning, but then you can't get it out of your mind. And that is a tough part of running a business.
Yeah. And obviously as we get older you realise how much time flies. It really doesn't when you're younger, does it?
No.
High school's like 5 years.
Yeah.
It feels like
forever.
forever, and
like
now
you're
5 years is nothing.
No.
So it's mad how people can be in the moment, like Gary Neville said. I'm not spending enough time with my kids, but still, he pretty much said he's not going to do much about it, didn't
he? Yeah.
But he will eventually. He's admitting his regret before it's even happened.
Yeah.
But like I said, not to put other people down. I'm sure he can handle his own businesses, but I want to, like I say, I don't. If I have a regret, it's that I made 10 grand less.
Yeah.
And it's all well and good saying that when you're in a comfortable position. Don't get me wrong, if my businesses start to crash, I'm going to have to put some more priority into that. But at the moment, I'd be happier making 9 mil, not anywhere near that, but making 9 mil and being happy at home than making 20 mil and being unhappy at home. Yeah. So it's about, again, balances, and all while being healthy. That's important because at the end of the day, that metric, as we go back to saying what we said earlier, becomes more and more important as time goes on, because even now in your 30s you start to realise the ailments of your 20s are catching up with you. What's it going to be like in your 50s, 60s, 70s? So you've got to look after yourself and prioritise it, because it will eventually come finding you, won't it, if you don't.
Definitely. That's great. All good. Anything else to add on that in conclusion? What kind of dad you want to be?
I think the conclusion is we don't fully know, do we? But we've got ideas and we've got things we're going to try, and we'll keep trying and changing up as we go along and learning lessons. I'm sure a few things are going to bite us in the ass as well. Yeah,
100%. Who knows? We might just be in a year's time. You don't know what's around the corner, do you? You could your philosophy on it could totally change.
That's the key, isn't it? We're being open-minded.
Yeah,
we're willing to be wrong, but at least have a go at something rather than dodging, having a go and fearing failure in it all.
Yeah, definitely. And passing them messages on to your kids. What we ultimately spoke about is being the person that is actually doing it and not just talking about it.
Yeah,
I think we both said that's a big thing. Spot on. All good.